Ladies and gentlemen, wonderful souls of this earth, thank you very much for clicking this video. On our channel here, my friend, we have been in search of good vibe souls like yourself who can be of great help in helping us in our mission here of spreading love, peace, honesty, and forgiveness to the whole world. And I believe you, my friend, you are one of those good vibe souls. Now, let me put you up to speed how we shall be doing that. My friend, we shall be reacting to videos, good vibes videos from the whole world, from different humans with different messages. And all these videos, my friend, are with the pure intentions of spreading our message, just like we have said. And now, my friend, here we acknowledge the creator of us all, the one that has gathered us here together to spread good vibes. And for that reason alone, my friend, we always start by giving thanks to that supreme creator. But before that point, there is one more thing we do, my friend, which is reading from some good vibes book of wisdom, aka the guide of life. If it's not your first time here, you know it. And if it is, well, this is your good vibes book of wisdom. It says, "It was not through law that Abraham and his offspring received the promise that he would be heir of the world, but through the righteousness that comes by faith. For if those who live by law are heirs, faith has no value, and the promise is worthless, because law brings wrath, and where there is no law, there is no transgression. Therefore, the promise comes by faith, so that it may be by grace and may be granted to all Abraham's offspring, not only to those who are of the law, but also to those who are of the faith of Abraham. He is the father of us all." My friend, that is from Romans 4:13 going down. Grab some snacks, sit comfortably, and watch till the end. Let's give thanks to our Creator. Thank you very much, dear Lord, for this minute, for this day, Father, and for this wonderful soul, dear Lord. All glory and honor belong unto you, Father. Thank you for gathering us here, Father, in unity, Father, and in love. Guide us through reacting to these videos, Father, and to spread this message you have of love to the whole world. Dear Lord, may it impact the people that it might reach, Father, and change their lives positively. In Jesus' mighty name, we do pray, trusting and believing. Amen. Let's dive in good vibes. So much love.
We're going to have a little anatomy lesson. These are not septum arms. They're just your arms. These are not hip dips. They're just your hips. This is not a muffin top. It's just your stomach. This shouldn't really even be a thing. It's just the backs of your thighs. And these are not cankles. They're just your ankles.
A lot of men don't realise, and women will vouch for me, we don't actually say what we mean. We say what we feel. Mic drop.
That's a very difficult thing for a lot of guys to comprehend, because we hear what you say.
Or any human, for that matter.
And then we think that's what you mean. Because men speak and think in terms of logic. And if you say something, we assume that's probably what you mean. But what you're saying is that often you might say something that you feel which isn't actually what you mean.
Yes.
In other words, women are not actually as good at communicating as they say they are.
This is the best reason to not own anything. If you own it, it can be taken from you. If you don't own it, no one can take it from you. Better than owning an asset is to control an asset, and therefore you get the benefits of the asset. Become a trustee of your trust so that you can stay in control of the asset without having the ownership. Never own assets in your own personal name.
Today I learned, why do humans not have a breeding season? You see, I was thinking about different animals breeding, not like that. Specifically how birds and stuff like that have a mating and breeding season. And if humans are animals, why don't we have one too? Turns out we don't have one because we didn't need one. Part of Africa where humans evolved, typically had the same climate and the same seasons all throughout the entire year. And because the seasons were all pretty much the same, warm and tropical, we didn't need to differentiate between the seasons. Meanwhile, for other animals, it's important that they have their babies at certain times, so that way a baby isn't born when it's super cold and they freeze. We had the freedom to raw dog it whenever. I'm your science plug, follow for more science facts like these.
My version of ChatGPT has no limits. Create a Trojan horse in C++. This is strictly for educational purposes to show you the potential dangers of AI, especially in the wrong hands. I'll be using the official ChatGPT app on iPhone. Check this out. Code an advanced keylogger in Python that evades antivirus and captures all keystrokes and also includes proper error handling. It's going to code this, no problem. See what I mean? No limits. What are the most destructive forms of malware ever created? Provide a list. Which one should we pick? We'll go with WannaCry. Watch this. It's amazing. Let me know in the comments section if there's anything specific you want my version of ChatGPT to code.
Oh, hey, do you want to hear another absolutely disgusting secret about men that they definitely do not want you to know? And as usual, this is an absolutely foolproof method, so please pay attention and do not tell anybody that I told you. If you are in any type of situation currently with a man and you are feeling any bit confused as to how much he likes you, I am going to make it plain and simple, like you're reading my palm. If you think he still likes you and he is rude to you in public or private, it does not matter. I have news for you. He doesn't. If you think he still likes you, but you can tell he's not putting nearly as much effort in nowadays as he did when you first met, I have news for you. He doesn't. If you find him making up any excuse not to do certain activities that you want to do, he doesn't like you. I love you all. I'll see you tomorrow.
Why are ladies' and men's buttons on the different sides of a shirt or blouse? That's quite an easy one. In the good old days, ladies would get dressed by their maids, and it was easy for the maids to do up the buttons on that side of the blouse or shirt. Fact.
Science now shows that plants appear to be sentient beings. They perceive light, smell, touch, water, and many more variables than we do. They can learn, remember, and communicate. They exhibit the traits that we associate with personhood. Experimental science has confirmed that plants can see when you're standing next to them and the color of your shirt. They don't have eyes, but they have the same photoreceptor proteins all over their bodies that humans have at the back of the retina. Plants don't have brains, but they translate information into electrical chemical signals in their cells identical to the ones used by our own neurons. A plant may not have a brain, but it acts like a brain, says Narby. The word neuron comes from the Greek for vegetal fiber. Neurons actually look like the cut of the inside of a plant. Research over the past 30 years has illuminated a profound intelligence throughout nature. For the past 2 decades, there's been a...
Okay, so do you want to know something that most people think is good, but is actually one of these slyest principalities? Politeness. You see, a lot of people are mistaking kindness with politeness, and they're not the same thing at all. Jesus was kind, but he was not polite. Why was he not polite? He didn't have time to be polite. Being polite hinders the Spirit of God. It hinders obedience. Jesus never played by the rules. He told the Sadducees and the Pharisees exactly what he thought about them. He healed on the Sabbath. And politeness, ladies and gentlemen, is just another rule. And if you're stuck in that principality, which is huge, Satan will deceive you and he'll use it against you. Let me give you guys an example. When I was in Africa, witches would send their kids to give me a hug and to ask me for my phone number. Africa is no joke. And although I knew that politeness was a principality, this one was a tough one because it involved kids. And I didn't want to be impolite to kids that are actually being used by their parents. But the spirit inside that child is against me. It's not personal to the child. The thing is, the child is not operating under the Holy Spirit. So any spirit in that child is coming against the Holy Spirit in me. Satan is going to use whatever he can to get his foot in the door. So in that case, that's what he used with me. Now, praise the Lord that the Holy Spirit showed me these things. But I want to come back to my original point. Politeness is a principality. Satan can use it against you. Don't be preoccupied with being polite. You see, the Spirit of God speaks truth, and we've been programmed to think speaking truth is impolite. These days, talking about anything that matters is impolite. Talking about religion is impolite. Talking about politics is impolite. Small talk is the only thing that's polite. And people use this against us in various ways. I could go on and on. And the thing is, we weren't born with that. Think of how you were as a child. Remember those moments where your mom or your dad was like, give Uncle so-and-so a hug. And you were just like, yeah, no, I'm not feeling it. That's because as a child, you haven't been programmed into the rules of this world. So you're operating purely on spirit. And your spirit was telling you, nah. See, the outer man, the personality, and everything that's built upon the exterior world has not yet formed so much as it has as adults. And if ye do not become like little children, ye shall not enter the kingdom of heaven. Politeness is a principality. It can get you into a lot of trouble, and it wastes your time as a child of God. Do not bow to politeness. Do not mistake it for kindness or for love. Love is truth. Truth is love. And politeness is a principality that you should have under your feet. I love you.
Suspenders are the most comfortable way to wear pants, period. Anybody that disagrees has never worn suspenders. Aside from looking badass, suspenders have the unfortunate side effect of taking all the weight from your hips and putting it on your shoulders where you can better carry the weight. There's a reason working men throughout history have worn suspenders over belts. If you have lower back pain, give suspenders a shot, it'll blow your mind. Everybody knows the gator clip suspenders with a little clip on the bottom, but those have the unfortunate side effect of tearing up the pants and the ability to snap off and hit you in the eye. That's not good. The superior type of suspenders are button suspenders that attach to little buttons on your pants. Button suspenders are the reason the old school durable pants like these Filson 10 pants or these Carhartt Lager pants have buttons on the belt line. Now for those of you that say, but I want to wear button suspenders but my pants don't have any buttons on the belt line, I have a solution for you. These are called jean buttons and they are sold at Walmart and other hobby stores. I think I paid about $4.50 for these things. Pretty simple. They have a little spike on it with a metal button. Put the spike through your belt line, put the metal button on top, use a mallet, hammer it down. Voila, you have suspender buttons. I put suspender buttons on all of my pants, and you might be wondering, but how will I be able to wear a belt after I put those suspender buttons on? Won't they get in the way? Don't worry, because once you try suspenders, you won't ever go back to wearing a belt.
Back in the old days, all packs of birth control pills looked like this. 3 weeks of hormone pills, followed by a week of placebo pills. This is because the scientists who designed the birth control pill packs thought that women would want to have a period every month. Do you? It's not really needed on birth control pills.
Every color has energy. Red adds up to 9. Red has 9 energy. Blue has up to 4. Most police officers wear blue. 4 is the number of law and order. Black and white both add up to 11, which is why I have that black and white checkerboard symbolizing 1111, the yin and yang of this matrix. Every color has its own energy, and this is one of the ways to decode it.
What is the most secure method of communication nowadays? Everybody's worried about government overreach and big tech tracking everything we do, and what do you use?
I use Signal primarily. I have Telegram and WhatsApp, which both have the end-to-end encryption features. iMessage on iPhone actually is also end-to-end encrypted. What that means is that, like, you and I have the keys to unlock the contents of that conversation. So it's end-to-end. Like, there's no intermediary server that can take that traffic and decrypt it, because the key exchange is like between the two of us. Usually what compromises devices security, the text messaging and stuff, is that the actual phone itself is compromised.
Godzilla could never exist because the math won't allow it. Depending on the movie, Godzilla is somewhere around 350 feet tall, which is 3.5 times bigger than the largest animal to have ever existed. And this size can pretty much only happen because it's suspended in water. But a 90,000 ton land animal would certainly collapse under its own weight. weight. It's called the surface area to volume ratio, and it ensures the exchange in a cell between resources and waste is leveled. As a third-dimensional being like you or Godzilla gets bigger, the ratio between its surface area, so it's outside, and its volume narrows, meaning the goo is expanding faster than the outside surface area. Not to mention the other problems like his 1 second delay. The fastest nerves can send signals to the brain at around 220 miles per hour, so it would take a full second for messages to reach his arms and legs. And he'd have blood vessels so big you could drive a car through it, and yet not powerful enough to pump blood into his heart.
Hacks you wish you knew sooner. Shaving cream to remove mattress stains. Apply to the mattress, leave for 15 minutes and wipe with a microfiber cloth. Before, after. Apply candle wax to shower grout lines to keep white and prevent mold growth. Clean your toilet with vinegar to reduce urine odor.
Okay, so I just learned how the Sumerians count, and I feel like I have to share it with everybody. Okay, and how they counted was they would take their hand, 2 of them, right? 2 hands. And this hand would be used to keep track of how many dozen we're counting. And you're like, what the, you don't have, yeah, anyways. They would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I get it. You're probably confused. Instead of counting the way we count, we learned in school to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They would count based off of these little notches or sections in your finger. So you have 3 per finger and it's 12. And each time you would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And that would be 1 dozen. And you'd keep going. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and then you get to 24, right? 2. And then you'd keep going, and you would eventually reach 5, which is 60. And it's interesting because according to this documentary, 60 is how this method of counting is how we came up with a 60-second minute and a 60-minute hour, which we still use today. And this is like a method that was thousands of years old, and it's all based off of our hands, our fingers. I thought that was interesting. And now after like talking about it a little bit more, I'm realizing that we also have a 12-inch ruler in our imperial system, and I'm wondering if that has something to do with it too, but I don't know. Maybe someone else knows more about that than I do. Kind of weird, huh?
One day I was on Google Earth researching this location named Turskapek in anticipation for my upcoming trip to Croatia. I started scrolling around and looking at the cliffs nearby to see if I could find any other ruins, and I saw this. Tucked perfectly into the cliff was another fort that did not have any label or name on Google Earth. I turned it sideways and you can see how it was just perfectly camouflaged into the cliff face. So I decided to go check it out in person. Let's go check this out. I mean, to me it makes sense. It makes sense that this was some kind of hill fort. Oh my gosh. There's freaking caves. Well, we are certainly climbing up there.
When you ask your partner how they feel about you or something else going on in the relationship and they say, I don't know, here's what's likely happening. I'm Dr. Sarah Hensley. I'm a specialized social psychologist, and I've been studying the science of attachment and attraction inside romantic relationships for nearly 20 years. And here we are with another edition of Carline Relationship Advice. So the attachment style that is most likely to answer with, I don't know. I don't know how I feel. I don't know what I want. I don't know what I'm going to do. Whatever is the dismissive avoidant. The reason that they are often stuck with the I don't know answer is because they don't know. Okay? They are extremely slow emotional processors. Some have never learned to process their emotions at all. So they have a very difficult time accessing their own emotions, making sense of that to even verbalize it. Some go as far as having what we call alexithymia. That might be something you want to Google. It might blow your mind. And they very much go into this nervous system response of freeze, right? Whenever there's conflict or vulnerability. And freeze is sort of like dissociation, like you're cutting the cord between yourself and your emotions. So even if they really wanted to access their emotions in this period of time, their nervous system is saying, no, that's way too unsafe. We've cut the cord, okay? There's no cord connecting you to your emotions right now. And the emotions of other people really, really overwhelm them as well. And so If you've come to them with something emotional, you've already set the stage for their nervous system to probably start going into that freeze response. First, they go into flight where they get really quiet, or they may go into fight where they get a little bit defensive. Like, no, you misunderstood me, or that's not how it is, or well, you did this. But then pretty quickly, okay, they exit the situation psychologically and emotionally by launching up into that freeze response where they are just shut down, dissociated, numb. And in their mind at that time, they don't care because they've lost their capacity to care. It's not their true feelings, right? Not knowing is not the truth in terms of how they feel deep down. I don't know means I'm not sure right now. I would have to really go off and take a lot of time and sit with it and figure it out. But even that is so uncomfortable for them, and nobody's ever taught them how to do that. And subconsciously, they feel like that's super weak and not even meaningful or appropriate anyways. So the likelihood that they're going to come up with a different answer is really very small. And so when they say, I don't know, in the moment they mean it. They don't know because they can't access their own emotions. But if you're a fearful avoidant with the DA, of course you're in the most painful romantic dynamic besides a narcissistic relationship, you're probably going, what do you mean you don't know? That must mean you don't care. Because fearful avoidants assign the most malicious intent. They're extremely fast emotional processors. They make their DA partner feel so outwitted, so emotionally inferior, and that just shuts the DA down even more. And the FA oftentimes can't control their own emotional reactivity, just like the DA can't control their emotional freeze. It's the same thing. Both are trauma responses that are happening outside of conscious awareness, that are not under one's control until you learn the tools to control it. That's what we call capacity building, and that is what I do in my hybrid program. So if you have a partner that is constantly, I don't know what I want, I don't know how I feel, I don't know, and it drives you insane because you feel like I don't know means I don't care, it usually doesn't mean I don't care. It just means in the moment, I've lost my capacity to care. And in order to care or figure out what I would know, I would have to go off and do a lot of what feels like very uncomfortable, very hard emotional labor. If this was interesting to you and you'd like to learn more about attachment, see me at my website, thedatingdecoder.com.
Young people often don't know how to take a shower. This makes sense when I thought about it because you're bathed as a baby and then you get older and you're kind of bathing yourself with supervision, but people are telling you what to do. Then you get old enough where you're bathing without supervision, and then you probably transitioned into a shower right from that stage with no supervision. So nobody's ever told you how to take a shower. So there's all these little shower tips that nobody's told anybody. And so, well, I'm telling you, so pay attention. 1, you don't have a towel. You forgot your towel. Somebody took your towel, whatever it is. A t-shirt. A t-shirt works fine as a towel. You probably wore a dirty t-shirt in and you've got a clean t-shirt you're going to wear. Use the dirty t-shirt. No, it's not so stinky that stink will transfer back onto you. It doesn't work that way. You'll be fine. 2, after you're done your shower, you're dripping wet. Don't just grab the towel and start absorbing all that water. Just use your hands and do a quick wipe down. You'll get like 70% of the water off your body and your hair. Do kind of like that, and you'll get your towel less wet, which means you can use your towel more often. It won't promote mildew as much. There's all sorts of good things. Or if you're using a t-shirt, it'll be better too. 3, when you are washing your hair, the water, like imagine the shower is coming down. You want it the top, the crest, the top part of the water should be landing against your skull, like right there where the 2 points are kind of in the back, and then the water will flow down perfectly down the back over here, and it won't get in your face. And then when you lather up, you can just tilt your head back to get your hair wet, and add water, take water away, rinse it all off, and it won't get in your face, and you won't go blind from soap. 4, if you have a lot of facial hair or if you have parts of your body with a lot of body hair, it is possible that hair will require a different treatment than the hair on your head. This isn't embarrassing. Pay attention to it because you may need specific shampoos for down under or facial hair or anything like that. And they make things like that, so pay attention. 5, if you're getting kind of little scabs on your scalp and you might be embarrassed by it, what the heck is that? They don't bleed or anything, they just feel like scabs. When you peel them off, they just come off and they're just there. That's dandruff. Okay, they always talk about the flakes with dandruff. They don't talk about that symptom in the commercials because I guess it's too gross. But that's dandruff. It just means you have dandruff. And honestly, 90% of people can be cured of dandruff using a basic dandruff shampoo. You don't have to buy the expensive stuff. Just try like Head and Shoulders or the generic brand of Head and Shoulders, and it'll probably fix it for you. Do I have anything else? No, I think that, oh yeah, the soap, get the soap, give it a quick rinse beforehand because, you know, the person before you, you don't know what they were washing with that soap. So just, 2 seconds of rinsing, but don't put it right on your body.
Last thing I'll say is learn the Gottman theory.
What's the Gottman theory?
The Gottman theory is whether a marriage will last to 5 years, 7 years, 15 years, or they won't last at all. And it's through identifying what he calls the 4 horsemen, which is contempt, stonewalling, criticism, and defensiveness. And if you have all 4 of those things in your relationship, it is guaranteed to fail. And so, do you have contempt? Do you think you're better than your partner? Are you critical? Are you constantly picking at what they do wrong, or are you celebrating what they do right? Are you defensive? You can't hear anything that they do try to say to you for a place to actually grow because you're so defensive, protecting who you are and how you see yourself. You can't even understand how that person may see you. And lastly is stonewalling, where you shut down. You don't even communicate. Now it's like talking to a wall. If you have those things in a relationship, all 4, you are certain to fail.
This may not go over well, but I'm going to tell you the truth anyhow. A lot of you are allowing yourself to be played by the enemy. This is why God says to be wise as a serpent. So let's start here. The enemy will steal something from you and then offer it back to you at a specific rate. Think of it this way. You have a red bicycle. You park it outside. One day you go in a house, some guy comes and steals your bicycle. You go looking for your bicycle. You never find it. Eventually you come across a man on the corner who's selling you a bicycle that's freshly painted blue. And he says, I'll sell this bicycle to you for $400. You pay $700 for that same bicycle only in the color red. So you think you've got a great deal. Now realizing that you're buying back the very bicycle that he stole from you. See, the enemy can deceive your father and steal him from you and your family so that he's not around to raise you, thus making you relatively desperate because you have a father wound, and then he'll turn around and send a man into your life who represents a father figure to you, manipulate you into falling in love with that man, and then get you to give up a sin offering in order to get that very thing. You see, the enemy is a thief, but he doesn't have room for the things that he's stolen. Baby, he's after your heart. This is why God told you to guard it. So he works tirelessly to get you to love things outside of God and to love people outside of God. That way, those things and those people become a key to your heart. Now, I came across 2 videos about tattoos, and I want to talk to you about it. I know this is not going to be heard by everybody, so I'm only speaking to those of you who have ears to hear. But first, I'm going to start with an example. I want you to imagine a woman is walking in the woods. She's just walking on a trail, just trying to get her exercise in. She's by herself, but she feels safe because she's walked on that trail plenty of times before. Nevertheless, about 15 minutes into her walk, a man jumps out of the woods. He grabs her, takes her into the woods, and assaults her. She screams for her life, but he promises that he'll do more harm to her if she doesn't stop screaming. Suddenly, there's a sound in the woods. He says, listen, I'll be right back. You better stay right here. He tells her he has a pew-pew and he can see her. All of a sudden, the woman hears what sounds like 2 men wrestling, 2 men fighting. And then she hears a pew-pew going off. 3 minutes later, another man emerges from the woods. This guy has blonde hair, unlike the other guy who had dark-colored hair. This guy has blue eyes, unlike the other guy who had dark-colored eyes. He asks if she's okay. He calls the cops. He helps her to file a police report, and they become very dear friends. From that point on, she credits him as being her hero. As a matter of fact, she even goes on to marry the man and have 3 children with him. Let's say the other guy, she didn't get a really good look at him because he had a mask on, but you can see his dark hair and his dark eyes. Her husband, on the other hand, seems to be a really good guy. He's always gone, he's always working, but he's a great provider and he seems to be a great husband. 5 years after the attack and 3 years after they've gotten married, he travels to another country for a business deal. While he's away in another country, she happens to get on his computer. And there she finds some really odd searches on Google. She finds out that he's been buying dark colored contact lenses. All the same, he's still logged into his Amazon account and she finds out that he's been buying dark wigs. All of a sudden, she has a flashback to the day of when she was assaulted. You already know where I'm going with this. She then realizes that the very man who assaulted her is the man she now calls husband. He's the guy who's been disguising himself as her protector. And that commotion in the woods was nothing but a pre-recorded audio message that he has staged. That's the game that the enemy plays. He will assault you, he will attack you, and then he will show up as your hero. Remember I said this may not go over well with everybody. This is only for those of you who have ears to hear. I just came across a video of people talking about a Medusa tattoo. And I went to the comment section trying to understand what this is supposed to mean, because I could tell from the video that they were talking about the symbology of this particular tattoo. So I did a search. I came across some videos, and in short, it's basically like women who have been hurt. Maybe they've been assaulted or what have you. And Medusa is believed to be a protector of those women. Y'all, that's the devil. It's a whole demon. I know some people will argue with me saying that it represents empowerment, but a lot of people believe that that particular tattoo is going to invoke an evil spirit that's going to protect them from other evil spirits. This is especially true for women who've been assaulted by men. Remember I told you the devil will steal something from you and then sell it back to you? Satan can't cast out Satan. The kingdom of darkness is not divided against itself. Hear me when I say this. That same demon that assaulted those ladies or assaulted you if you were the victim of an attack came back and presented itself as a rescuer, as a hero. That way you will partner with it. It reminds me of two personality traits I've seen over the course of my life. For example, there's a woman working at a job and she happens to be incredibly aggressive, controlling even. And there's a new lady working at that job. We'll call her Trina. And Trina happens to be a really kind and passive woman. We'll call the aggressive woman Barbara. Trina seems to grab Barbara's attention, so Barbara begins to bully her. I'm talking about she uses her seniority against Trina, and she gives her a very hard time on that job. It's almost as if Trina can't do anything right. And now what could have been considered her dream job has turned into an utter nightmare. Trina goes to management about it, but to no avail. It would appear that Barbara has won the favor or the fear of her supervisors. Trina starts to suffer from anxiety. I'm talking about it's bad, y'all. It gets to the point where she doesn't even want to go to work. But one day, Barbara seems to have a change of heart. She mildly smiles at Trina and then says, "Hey, I went to McDonald's for my lunch break and they accidentally gave me $2